So welcome to the Impact interview. Today we are more than honored and delighted to have Mr. Andrew Hoare, the global head of marine system and green shipping and Fortescue. So Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Holman. It's very good to see you again.
To start our conversation, could you please help us briefly go through your professional journey and share one achievement in your career has in Fortescue that gave you the greatest sense of accomplishment?
Okay, well, my shipping career is so far quite long. It's around about 3 decades. I started off shipping in the early 1990s as a broker, and then moved to China and spent a number of years in China and Hong Kong before moving from becoming a broker to a principal. So I've worked for a couple of some of the world's largest ship owners. A great experience acquired over that time, both in shipping and in the energy and in technology centers of excellence as well. So quite interesting. But I think joining Fortescue has been even more satisfying. I think to join a group and to be launched straight into this ammonia project, which we call the Green Pioneer Project, has been very, very exciting because it's been such a of course, with the achievement, it's been a world first in many different respects, but it represents something far more substantial than just a small ship. It's an achievement of something that is going to change our industry. It's the outcome of many smart minds being put together, putting it all together very much based on our company values to deliver the project. So it's been quite an amazing sort of couple of years for me whilst I've been at Fortescue, particularly around this project.
Thank you for sharing us with that. So as we all know, like Fortescue with the support of Marine and Port Authority of Singapore and a government agency, research institute, and industry partner, has actually successfully conducted the world's first ammonia-powered vessel, the Fortescue Green Pioneer, in the port of Singapore. So could you please provide us with an overview of the Fortescue Green Pioneer and its significance in driving the decarbonization in the maritime industry?
Well, the Green Pioneer is a very small ship. It's a platform supply ship, so it's very different from the sort of ships that Fortescue operate. But we recognise that we need to decarbonise our supply chains. We're moving, 200 million, nearly 200 million tons of iron ore, principally from Australia to China. And so we took a very close look at shipping. We thought, well, how can we decarbonise shipping? We're all using fuel oil for the ships. So let's go and find a hydrogen-based fuel, which is principally carbon-free. So after a number of studies, we realised that probably using ammonia as a marine fuel was going to be both the greenest, cleanest, and most technologically easy to do compared to working on other solutions such as hydrogen directly. So we assembled a project team to develop this project. We did some work on the land first of all. So we had a land-based engine. There's a Cummins KTA50 engine. We converted that to ammonia. We laid out the whole fuel delivery system, and it worked very successfully. And we in parallel, because we work at pace, we had already acquired a ship, this PSV. So we also set to convert that ship as well in Seatrium shipyard in Singapore. And what we did is we laid out the ammonia systems on the back deck prior to getting into the engine room, so that those people who are involved in the regulation of our industry, they could see in a very clear way how the ammonia systems work. So when you're building policies and guidelines and procedures, you can actually see the equipment at work in front of you rather than having to forage around the ship looking for the equipment. So I think that was one of the successful elements of the project, was the fact that we were able to lay out the equipment to be visible for people to see who are making decisions on the regulation. But amazing project. We concluded the world's first bunkering, the world's first use of ammonia on the land-based engine, and of course in the marine engine as well, with various maneuverability trials. So we really put ammonia through its paces during this project. I think it's been successful. It's given us a chance to speak in forums at the IMO, MEPC, and the MSC committees. And I think we've managed to accelerate the discussion or bring the ammonia to the front of discussion for the new fuels, rather than something that might happen in 2035 or so forth. It's actually going to be happening now. We're going to be competing alongside and hopefully removing the likes of the LNG and the non-green methanols from the fuel supply chain.
Yes. So as you know, ammonia has been used in other industry with established safety criteria for many years, but it has been still remain an emerging trend in the maritime industry. So could you please elaborate on the specific safety measures that has been implemented to ensure safe operation during the ammonia field trial?
Well, ammonia has very different properties from other fuels which are used in shipping. So many people refer to its toxicity. So I think the key thing with all fuels is you have to understand the nature of that fuel. And just because you don't understand it, first of all, doesn't mean that you can't address it. So what we did is we understood the fuel, understood the properties of the fuel, and then we developed and designed our system around that fuel. But the principal design characteristics of the ammonia are obviously there's the human element and there's a mechanical element. But mechanically, we use the double containment mechanisms so that there are safeguards there for containment to make sure that you've got an extra membrane to protect in case of some sort of leakage. And also we manage the from the crew perspective through the deployment of appropriate safety clothing as well through PPE. So for us, it is twofold. It is, of course, it's mechanical and electrical design, and it's also how you train the crew and the equipment that you give the crew to safeguard for any challenges. What's important, though, with all new fuels is that we mustn't layer the safety on old safety protocols. You must understand what is required and what is fit for purpose for this particular fuel. I think many people will say, sure, we must all wear hazmat suits 24 hours a day, but that's not practical for the crew member. It's not even safe for the crew member to do so. So I think, we integrate a lot of safety protocols. As a mining group, we have a lot of process safety activity. So we were able to deploy that. We work very, very closely with Classification Society, DNV. We work with them. And of course, with the MPA as well. They were very much governing as a flag state of the vessel, how rigorous we have been with both our design and our marine applications of safety. So a lot of work around the whole piece to make sure that this was a successful project. It couldn't fail, and we weren't going to let it fail.
Yeah, that's really impressive. So, following successful field trial, I'm actually really curious, what are the next steps for the Fortescue Green Pioneer? And how do you foresee the ammonia-powered vessel influencing the future of maritime industry, and particularly regarding the regulatory framework and the commercial viability?
So I think the next step for the Green Pioneer, we're going to do some more showcasing because there are plenty of people that want to understand the technology, and seeing is believing. It's not a study, it's not a desktop bit of research. It actually is a practical ship that's done the work. So we're going to do some more showcasing. We're also we partnered with the MPA in the METF program, which is focused around crew training and so forth. So we're going to be heavily involved in that to make sure that we have an ongoing resource of crew members that are able to operate on these new fuels such as ammonia. I think in general with the ultimate deployment of ammonia, you can see that there are new buildings on order in shipyards today in Korea, Japan and China, which have the capability to burn ammonia. So these are very, very clear, from Newcastle Maxes to very large ammonia carriers, VLACs. They are on order and they are going to hit the water in 2027, 2028. So the priority now actually is to make sure that we have the molecules, the green molecules, the green ammonia molecules to supply those ships. So I think one of the strongest outcomes of our project is that we've validated the use of ammonia as a green fuel. And by validating that fuel, we're creating a market for that fuel. And I think very quickly that market will scale up as people shift away from the hydrocarbons towards the ammonia fuel. It's basically to take refuge from the regulations that are going to be coming forward from the likes of the IMO as they slowly, and not necessarily so slowly, begin to tax the hydrocarbon out of the marine supply chains.
Yes. So how do you see the success of Fortescue Green Pioneer influencing the other project or initiative within Fortescue? And what role do you envision for Fortescue for decarbonization of maritime industry and other hard-to-abate sectors in the future?
Well, I think number one, I think that this project shows Fortescue's skill and capability in delivering large, complex projects. There's no doubt that this Green Pioneer, a small ship, highly complex, and I think that was the number one accolade for Fortescue. Number one, that we allowed it to happen, that we were creative and impatient enough to drive the project forward. So I think that has a strong bearing on our values and the vision for the group as we seek to be a heavy industry and leading the decarbonisation front through heavy industry. So this project is obviously working in parallel with many other activities that we are up to, whether it be on the ammonia or hydrogen production, whether you're looking at the PEM electrolyzer manufacturing that we have in Australia as well. I think all of these validate and give Fortescue credence that we are very, very much committed to our decarbonisation plan. And I think that by doing this, it really shows that we are serious in what we're saying. And I can say that the whole company is mobilised behind our group's leadership in delivering on our decarbonisation objectives. And those decarb objectives involve mining activity, energy activity, and technology activity. They're all basically one group of activities is working together to decarbonise our overall operations.
Andrew, thank you so much for sharing us with your insights and expertise today. And we also look forward to following in Fortescue's continued contribution to sustainable maritime industry as well as the other aspects of the world towards a net zero future.
Okay, thank you very much, Holman. Nice to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.